Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Let's continue. We are discussing Master Gunabhadra. Master YongHua, we listened to his Dharma talks last night, his sound. So we're going over what he talked about. So towards the end, the Dharma Master felt pretty sick. And he bid farewell to the emperor and the officials. He asked for leave, so he wants to go away. And then he sat in full lotus and entered nirvana. Ru Nibbān le. Again, the Chinese say Ru Nibbān le. I'm not sure what it is. He was 75 years old. But the Chinese people like to say Ru Nibbān, and I'm not sure that really is the case. Okay, he's enlightened, therefore he moves on. After you enlighten, you have control over where you want to go and what you're going to do next, and therefore most of them will not enter nirvana. So to say, for the Chinese to say Ru Nibbān is, I would say it's inaccurate, okay? Because that's the last thing you want to do. Even for Hinayana people, they should not enter nirvana themselves. It's no good. The nirvana they enter is called nirvana with residue, and that's no good nirvana. I would not advise you enter that nirvana at all. And as far as the bodhisattvas enter the nirvana without residues, only reserved for bodhisattvas, enlightened people in Mahayana, typically the bodhisattvas don't enter nirvana either themselves. They have too much work to do. To enter nirvana would not be a good use of their time. Okay, so that's why this tradition of the Chinese saying that enter nirvana, it's to me, it's vastly inaccurate. So how are we going to say that in English? I don't know. But certainly not enter nirvana. How about simply he passed away, he moved on or something? Okay. You know that since he's enlightened, he'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Okay, so he went to the next project. He moved on to the next project or whatever. Because enlightened people, they are fairly fully employed. They are not usually allowed to stay idle for very, very long. Okay. Yes, sir. 5.
Thank you, Master. So I understand it's an issue of the translation from Chinese to English with saying that he entered nirvana?
Not at all. The Chinese say he entered nirvana, and I have a problem with that expression. Even in Chinese.
So it's like a Chinese idiom?
It's probably a polite conversation where they said, this is an enlightened master, therefore he's supposed to enter nirvana. But that's only for polite company. To me, if you really understand the Dharma, you don't enter nirvana. Nirvana is for people who are lazy, who consider retirement or something like that. Such people are losers. Yes, 5.
Okay, thank you, Master, for clarifying, because to me that's a significant turn in the misadventures of Venerable Great Worthy Mahayana. We've been following him, and I know I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and there's other perspectives that can easily be forgiven for saying he's climbing on conditions. And where we left off, the cliffhanger where we left off last time, was that, and then he entered nirvana after everything he's done. kowtowing to emperors, kowtowing to failed coups, etc., receiving temples. So to hear that he did not enter nirvana is significant, I think.
It would be redemption for me. Because of my gut feeling is Gunabhadra is basically a fourth stage arhat. That's why he still climbs on condition. He still allows the officials and the emperor to pat on his head like the emperor patting on his pet. That's insulting for a monk. A typical monk where I came from, the emperor is an important person, but you don't allow the emperor to treat you like at a lower level. Emperors and officials can be set up here in front of the monks and nuns. That's perfectly okay. Okay, that's allowed in our world. Vinaya says if you're an emperor, you're governors, and so forth, you're allowed to sit in front, ahead of the monks and nuns. That's perfectly okay because they are important. They have special status. In what way? For example, we're here because of the protection of the president, of the vice president, of the governor, and so forth. And therefore, they should be given special considerations. Okay? However, we don't allow them to pat us on our heads. Okay, and say, good boy, you gave a good answer. I like your answer. So that's why I feel he's around fourth stage arhat, okay, or at best very low level bodhisattvas. That's why he's still stuck on these things. Even so, the Chinese are too polite. They say Ru Nibbana, which is enter nirvana, which is a very, very polite way of saying he's enlightened, therefore he can enter nirvana. Okay? But it's not factual. That's all. That's all I'm saying. We don't have to be as polite. I don't want to be as polite as the Chinese. I would rather say he moved on. Okay? To his next project, he moved on. Between the parentheses, to his next project. Okay? That's all. 7.
제가 알기에는 열반에 들었다는 거는 번뇌가 다 했다는 뜻으로 이해하고 있고 번뇌가 다 했다는 거는 깨달았다는 얘기가 아닌가요?
As far as I understand.
사홍스님 안 들립니다.
안 들려요?
지금 들려요.
지금 들려요. As far as I understand, entering nirvana means there is no more affliction. And does that mean enlightenment?
Nirvana is reserved for enlightened people. You cannot enter nirvana unless you're enlightened. But then most enlightened people will not enter nirvana just because they're enlightened. That's my point. That's why if you really understand enlightenment, you will not say, I enter nirvana, I want to enter nirvana. Okay, so that's why I'm saying, I stated that the Chinese are polite. They say enter nirvana, Ru Nibbana is a polite expression, but it's not factual. That's all. Okay. Definitely, Bodhisattva would never enter nirvana. They know better than enter nirvana. Okay, 75 years old, world age, okay, which is pretty long life for people back then. Back then, people were like in the, China, probably 60s, average lifespan. This Dharma master, we're on slide 84. This Dharma master, originally he was a son of externalist family. And he left home life. He crossed over his father and mother to take refuge, triple jewels. I don't know how it happened, but typically, why would your parents who objected to you, to anyone looking at the monks and nuns and become Buddhists? That's kind of weird. Okay, but it's good for him if he can convince his parents to take refuge, triple jewels. So what? I'm not impressed by names. You Buddhist, you Catholic, you Mormon or something. It doesn't matter to me. Buddhism is a world religion. If you practice good, then you're Buddhist in my mind. I don't care what you call yourself. You practice evil, then I don't look at you as Buddhist. Okay? And so, but anyway, this is to me, this is some sort of attachment where I said I crossed my parents to become Buddhist as if it's an achievement. To me, it's no big deal. So what? A lot of Buddhists don't do very well, whereas a lot of Catholics and Mormons do better because they lead a better life. They have better principles, sounder principles. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master, because I also remember Sophia Gu on YouTube's question specifically about this, and doesn't Great Master Shenhua retelling of this story in some ways just identify the precedent that people who are enlightened can take refuge and not be on the same page with their parents?
Sure, parents are parents. We are adults. You have your own life. Your parents have their own lives. So why do you have to cross them over? I have a problem with that. The reason I talk like that is because to me, becoming Buddhist is meaningless. If you're going to fall later, what's the point in becoming Buddhist? The Buddhist, one of the advantages of being a Buddhist is that you're learning about things that will help you avoid falling into the evil paths. You don't want to go to the animal realm. You don't want to go into the hells. You don't want to become a hungry ghost yourself. Okay, that's the advantage. You know that it's so undesirable. Okay, but that's all you know. It doesn't mean that you can avoid it. To me, what's a much bigger deal to me is instead of crossing your parents over to become Buddhists, I'd rather send your parents to the Pure Land, where you have the best teacher out there in the entire universe called Amitabha Buddha. To me, it's a far better thing than trying to convert your parents over to become Buddhist. I don't know about you. That's what I would do. I would stress that. But, the Chinese don't have that Dharma, so that's why I crossed my parents and became Buddhist. I said, whoopee. Buddhists, so many Buddhists fall to the evil path anyway. Okay? So I want you to understand that nowadays, our thinking is different. That's all. We don't have to imitate the Chinese and say, they cross over your parents and so forth. Let's be clear. We want our parents to go to the Pure Land because they don't cultivate. They should go to the Pure Land. Let's not get distracted. Let's not say, I need you to become Buddhist. They say, baloney. Don't be Buddhist, but after you die, I send you to the Pure Land. I have the last laugh. You can do whatever you want. And that's the power of Mahayana. You can be yourself. You can live your life. And then your life, because I am your son, I'm your daughter, I will take care of you. That to me is the ultimate thing, not crossing your parents over and turn them into Buddhists. Honestly, personally, I don't care. I've seen too many Buddhists that I'm totally unimpressed with. Okay? That's all. It's just my personal opinion. Nothing. The point is that when it's your turn to speak the Dharma and tell you your life story, hopefully in the future, you don't say, okay, I turned my parents to Buddhists. Okay? Don't do that. Because after he left the home life, his father and mother knew he left the home life and often asked him to go back home. Okay, of course. So he asked him to return home to meet with them. So he wrote a letter. Okay? Very much like Venerable Xin right now, after her father died. Now the aunt and the family said, are you going to go home, return to lay life and take care of your mother? The mother? Huh? Okay? Similar situation. Venerable Xin, would you like to address that issue? Are you going to return to lay life and going to take care of your mother? So he wrote a letter. Let me finish this thing here, and then you can think about what to say, okay? I'm sorry I have to ambush you like this. And so he wrote a letter. He says, hey, I'm a bhikshu now. Okay? I'm also have the Bodhisattva precept. I'm also novice. I took a lot of precepts. I'm full of precepts. Don't you get it? And he said, if you continue to uphold externalist Dharma, even though I go back home and meet with you, there will be no benefit. Okay? Hint, hint. Huh? You can tell your aunt and your uncle and your relatives, yeah. See, my mom, now my mom is Catholic. I go home, it's not going to help. If, however, you take refuge, Triple Jewel, then I meet often with you. And this is Indian logic. Okay, remember he's from India. Okay, so he says, we can see each other more often. Okay, and because the saying so, they're so touched. I don't get it. These are the parents who preach to everyone that monks are evil beings. So their son became an evil person. You don't even want to look at them, let alone read a letter. And now they read it from their own son and say, you should become Buddhist so that I can get to see you more often. And therefore, they converted over to Buddhism. It will not work for our times anymore. It may have worked for the Indians, but I don't think it works anymore. Yes, sir. 5.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube comment, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude for our YouTube audience who is holding strong at 50 live viewers across our English, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean channels.
All right, go.
From Shannon McGow. I had this conversation with my 90-year-old father today where I told my Irish Catholic father not to worry about a thing because he's going to the Pure Land.
Yeah, precisely. The point I'm making is this. To make a big deal out of becoming Buddhist is so short-sighted. That Dharma, to me, is too short-sighted. Our Dharma is better. Why don't we let our parents be comfortable? Do whatever they like to do. Let them live their own lives. Let them, do the things that they set their mind on doing. And then after they die, it's a different ball game. We'll help them after they die. So what's a big deal? It's much better. And once we help them go to the Pure Land, it's forever. So why would you trade a small thing, turn them into Buddhists, for And then after you become Buddhist and they die, they ask you, what's next? What now? Huh? I mean, that's, I'm not impressed with dharmas like that. Okay? We need to be clear, okay? It's fine for Master Gunabhadra. I mean, now he has one more notch in his bow and arrows. He said, I'm converted my parents. Okay? Whoopee. They stopped practicing externalist dharma, took refuge Triple Jewel, became Buddhists. Good for you. And you converted your own parents. Didn't have much wisdom before. Later, Korve opened his wisdom. Okay. Transcendental wisdom. Cross over his father and mother. Change of view as externalists. To me, when are we going to stop trying to convert people? It bothers me that we have to convert people into Buddhism. This is where I disagree with Master YongHua. Okay? Why don't we embrace them as who they are? We can live with Catholics, we can live with Mormons, we can live with the demons. Don't need to convert them. What really bothers me is not so much about the conversion, it's the fact that he tried to convert them without being asked. That bothers me. It's like, I'm better than you. Buddhism is better than you. No, it isn't. I don't think Buddhism is better. Personally, I don't feel Buddhism any better. Not the way that it's being taught right now. Buddhism, to me, is to serve your needs and your wants. Not what my needs and my wants. My needs and my wants are not important. It's about your needs and your wants. If you want to be externalist, be externalist. Doesn't bother me. Why have to convert you? I don't get it. You see, we put our Dharma out there. We blow it in the wind, wherever it lands, or wherever people want to read it. That's it. They do whatever they want with it. But it's never my intention to convert people to Buddhism. Absolutely not. I have zero interest in converting people to Buddhism at all. In American culture, in America, we have this thing called pluralism, meaning we believe in respect for all religions. If you don't believe in religion, it's okay too. You believe in Judaism, perfect, good for you. No one will force you. And that's us, that's our culture. I happen to like it. I happen to like you for being who you are and doing what you believe in doing. The world is much more interesting that way. Because you know what? We have the last laugh. Because you can do whatever you want right now. By the time you die, we'll take over. Okay, that's it. If you have the blessing, we help you. We take over. If not, tough luck. Being Buddhist doesn't mean you can avoid falling to lower realms. Not at all. Okay, so why do they have to change the ways as externalists? Be an externalist. Why can't we embrace them as externalists? Who are we to decide what's best for them while they're alive? We have to respect them, the individual choices. Again, it's American culture. We respect your choices. Whether you're Catholic and whether you're Republican, you're Democrat, we respect that. We can make fun about it. We can joke about it. We can vote you in and out of office. But it's a mutual respect. It's so American in that sense. Okay, that's all. That's all I want to influence you. Okay, stop it. Stop trying to convert people, please. It's so small, so petty. We're here. Okay? We're not trying to become more famous and getting more disciples at all. The door is open. You come in, we hear whatever you have that's available, we share with you. That's it. No expectations. Of course, it'd be nice if YouTube becomes 5,000. Okay? And so on. It doesn't matter. If it happens, it happens. Does it happen? We're not going to lose sleep over it. Okay, why do they have to say, I need to convert my parents? I don't believe in doing that. Okay? That's my 2 cents worth. Maybe I'm too Americanized, but I also grew up in this environment, this Dharma, where I'm supposed to convert my parents, convert people to Buddhism, and now I realize that all those people who follow this kind of thinking don't support us. So what do I care? I don't need to subscribe to that thinking anymore. I don't owe you anything, guys. You understand? If I got here today because of these people who said, convert people to Buddhism, convert people to Buddhism, convert people to Buddhism. Now I say, oh, I owe it to them. You know what I mean? I got here today because they're the one who gave me my clothes, gave me my food, gave me my money, whatever. Okay? But they didn't. So I'm free to do as I please. So they cannot influence me. That's all. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. Can we embrace others as who they are? Accept them as who they are. Even when they hate us, even when they try to harm us, we still accept them. We're not scared. We're not afraid. Okay? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Master. I really appreciate you articulating your take on how we can interact with our parents and have amicable understanding. But it occurs to me while I'm reading this slide and seeing the translations of Great Master Shenhua saying, so this Dharma Master is worth for us to learn from. Considering the audience that Great Master Shenhua was speaking to at the time, I'm not sure that they were as maybe discerning as we're being, and it's only a testament to how deep his teaching is that we can be so discerning and take so much from it.
Yes, he's move on to the next topic, which is role models. Okay, by many people standards, this guy is a good role model. He's a Tripitaka master. He overcame the worst odds against the parents, the family, and so forth. And he became a Tripitaka master. And he came back and saved his parents and so forth. And, that's pretty impressive. And he went and nearly died in China, serving the wrong master and so forth. It's impressive. His attainment, and he has the ears of the emperor, meaning he's very influential. You know that. That means that the other monks and nuns in China who needed help from the emperor, all they have to do is they came to him to ask for help. And he would whisper the emperor's ears, Your Highness, can we build a temple over there? So actually it's very helpful to to many, many monks and nuns back then. So yes, he's has a big contribution. But to me, I am like you to think a little bit bigger than just China or just the emperor. That's all. Okay, and if you cannot find anyone better than him, well, fine, follow him. The point here is that this point is still very important. He says cultivators should find a role model. It's so important. You need to set a standards. You need to say, this is my standards. Like when I first started, luckily I stumbled to Master Shenhua, read a lot of stuff, couldn't tell the difference. But for some reason, it stuck in my mind. And his Dharma became my standards. I compared everyone else's Dharma against his. Okay? So yes, I agree with him. To this date, I still cannot find anyone better than Master Shenhua to serve as my role model. 97. Find a good role model, learn from a good role model, okay? Emulate that person, learn what's right and what's wrong, because they have more wisdom than we are. The bad ones, we take them as precept masters. The good one, we imitate them. Okay, now this is a point worth elaborating. The bad ones, we take them as precept masters. What does it mean? Why do we take this bad one as precept masters? Let me explain to you. That's the concept about precepts. Precepts are about do no evil. It's simplified. All those precepts that you learn are basically do no evil. Okay? And if you do no evil, meaning that you understand good and bad, then it's worth learning about precepts because it spells out what's good and what's bad clearly. Okay, when you cross this line, it becomes evil. All right, so it's very, very helpful to learn about precept marks for that reason. You may have the substance, but you need to have a clearer picture of where it's safe. Okay, so that's why. That's why when you see bad ones, they're doing evil things in our heart. We know something's off. We just don't like it. Because your Buddha's nature knows that's wrong. When you meditate, that's when you say, I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Okay? And that's why when you see someone doing bad things, then we can use them as a violation of precepts. You don't need to know the actual precept marks, but if someone doing things that turns you off, your heart, it bothers you, okay? Then you don't do it like them. We are not like them. That's precepts. Does it make sense? Yes, sir.
Sorry, Master. No, it doesn't make sense to me.
Does it make sense to you?
Can I ask it this way?
Yes.
In this case, if I don't agree with the way that Venerable Great Worthy Mahayana conducted himself, the instruction is to take him as a precept master, but not to imitate him. Is that
Okay.
correct?
Okay. If you admire Gunabhadra, then you use them as we imitate them. But you find there's certain things that you disagree with them, okay? Then you don't behave like them. And that's precepts. Okay? The good ones, whatever, see, you don't have to be this rigid. The good one meaning the good things he can do, he did. We imitate them. That's our role model. A role model is not 100%. Role model is I agree with you so such, but I disagree with such. That's what happened to me. I look at Master Hsuan disciples and I agree with you this thing, but I disagree with you all the rest. And that's a role model for me too. I said, okay, you do right things. Those things are, I will keep. I will imitate you. Okay? I will wear sashes too. Okay? I will also do this and do that as well, like you did. Okay? That's correct. Okay? But there are other things like I don't like. I say, no, I'm not going to do it like you. Because in a way, it's a precepts because I'm not going there. It's off limits to me. I don't go there. I refuse to go there. Okay? So the bad ones, when you recognize the bad one, the most important thing for you to remember, the bad one meaning that our heart, it bothers us. I couldn't understand. When I first started, I couldn't understand why. I was never impressed by them. My master on one hand says, they will train you, they will teach you. And I said, okay, so I stick around because I'm supposed to be trained. But I went from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and the Lord knows they tried to train me. But I saw things and I was turned off. I was not impressed. Okay? I'm lucky because if I was impressed, I would have stayed there for life. Because I'm like this. If I have someone, if Master Hsuan was among them, I would have stuck there. I would never left. Yes, DTT.
Master, can you hear me? I'm confused about a question. If you see some money on the ground and take it like it's yours, that's stealing. But what if is that never like finding money on the ground? I found $100. I mean, who are you stealing it from if nobody's around?
I couldn't hear it for some
Hello?
reason.
Test. Can you hear me? If I
You're too
see
close.
$100 on the ground and take it, then that's stealing. But if nobody's around, then who am I stealing it from? Is it like finding money?
Okay. It bothers you? Then
I just wanna be
don't
clear.
imitate me.
I just want to be clear on that issue.
Yeah, don't imitate me. You don't have to imitate everything. Imitate only good things. That was a joke. At least I will not be moved unless it's $1,000. How's that?
It was in the Dharma 3 years ago, and it was a long story. But at the end of the story, it said that means that your mind has greed. So if you don't take it, then you're good. But if you react to it, then that's your mind has greed.
Yeah. Yeah. that was a joke primarily. I was joking around, okay? Because if I pick up after I pick up the $100 bill, I would go and put it up in the sun and say, fake one, put it down. That's what when you go to the grocery store, that's what I see. I give the cashier a $100 bill. I don't do it very often, but when I give people a cashier $100 bill, they all, because they look at me and say, really? How can you have a $100 bill? That's the nature of my joke. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Malcolm, for asking that question, because I've had a very similar one. And Master, I always appreciate your practical advice and wisdom. My question is, if I find myself in a situation where there's a $100 bill on the ground, I would think it would be okay to pick it up and bring it in and drop it in the temple donation box, because the triple jewel cleans all money, right? Isn't that?
No, we are not a laundromat. Since when do you have such a notion? I'm shocked. Oh my God. How could you think of us as a laundromat?
Well, I don't want it back. You can have it. I don't want a ticket.
It's the same thing. Back then, when I was dirt poor, a bodhisattva came to me and said, what if someone just robbed a bank and he was chased by the policeman? So he ran to your temple and he says, you take the money. Here, it's all yours. That's how he escaped. Okay, so we walked out. What money? Did you see any money on me? Okay, so that's how he escaped. So the question is, what would you do with the money? I checked the precepts. Okay, I checked the precepts. I went to Taiwan. I looked up the precept. I said, is it okay for me to take money when it's stolen? Okay? And the precepts that I read says, yes, it's okay. So in other words, I answered the Bodhisattva point. I said, yes, I can. Basically, we are a laundromat. It may be bad money, but as soon as it goes to us, and now it becomes triple jewel. Therefore, it's clean money now. And the Bodhisattva laughed. He said, no, you can't. It's not clean money. And I remember that. I said, wow, why would you take money from that guy? Is it to save his skin? What's the purpose for you to take money from someone? If your reason to take money from someone is to benefit yourself, then you're no good. You don't deserve to take the money. And that's the Bodhisattva's point. I still remember that. He says, no, you're too greedy. You don't deserve this money. Therefore, your money is unclean. You want to feed your disciples with unclean money. How are they going to survive if the food they eat is from unclean money? It's bought with unclean money. The clothes they wear is bought with unclean money. The temple they live, their work will be bought with unclean money. Because it stinks. It doesn't matter. You can't wash it forever. You see? And that's the lesson I learned. I really love that lesson. I said, wow, just because Vinaya says it's okay, doesn't mean it's okay with me. Who are you? What kind of person are you? All you do is you take money because it's beneficial. Guess what? It's the robbers who throw money to you. Everyone benefits. He's safe. He's not caught by the police. Okay? And you have money to build your temples and take care of your people and so forth, and use the money to propagate the Dharma. And the Bodhisattva said, still unclean money, man. Can't do that. That's not us. Okay? You can drop another temple, it's okay. I'd say, hey, you know what? Go next door, right there. They appreciate it more than they need it more than we do. Yes, one.
So the precept marks could be wrong?
No, it's not wrong. The precept mark says, it's okay because you didn't steal it. Okay? But for us, what kind of Dharma you're practicing? We're practicing. We don't even want to touch those things. And later, my master YongHua, heard a story where his disciples had 2 restaurants. And Master YongHua says, the money you make from the 2 restaurants, from the restaurant business, is unclean money because you make money off people's, living beings' lives. You kill lobsters, you kill the cattle, you kill the chicken, you kill the pork, and you make money of it. Yes? That money there, the profit there, is unclean. So his disciples, Master, you are right. So he went back and he sold his 2 restaurants. He sold them. Great disciple. Now he sold them, he says, Master, this is the proceeds of 1 restaurant, please. Take it. My offering to you. Master YongHua says, no, thank you. That's clean. You see? My master has such high standards. It's not even stolen money, but the money that was from bad karmas. See, that's why I'm revolted. To me, it's revolting to have, like, Mr. Buffet make money off Coca-Cola and all those companies who are killing us. Seas Candies is making us diabetic. Coca-Cola is making us diabetic. Okay? We don't want such money. We don't want to touch the money. Not me. I'd rather have no money than have that kind of money. Yes, DTT.
한국 단톡방에 올라온 질문입니다. 서근아님이 올려주셨는데요. 불안, 천안, 영안 등에 있어서 1번 법안은 앞에 3개 중 어떤 상호관계가 있으며 2번 법안의 존재 자체의 중요성은 무엇인지 여쭙니다.
Master, this question is from Seoguna. There are several eyes: Buddha's eye, spiritual eye, heavenly eye. What are the relationships with these eyes with the Dharma eye? And what is the importance of Dharma eye?
They have different uses for different levels of practice. Okay, first eye is the lowest level eye for most people, that most people can have. It's called heavenly eye, meaning you can see the heavens, you can see the hells. Meaning that if you will go to even like first dhyana, you can open the heavenly eye yourself, and you can see things. Okay, and then there's a next eye. When there's a flesh eye, and there's a heavenly eye, and then you have the more significant one would be the wisdom eye. Okay, wisdom eye is an eye that only 4th-stage arhats or highers can have. Okay, and the next eye that's important is the Dharma eye. It's basically for bodhisattvas. Only bodhisattvas can have those eyes. And then finally, Buddha eye is only for Buddhas. So they serve different things. Buddha eye, for example, can see anything. If the Buddha wants to see anything at all, nothing can stop him. That's why it's called Buddha eye. And only Buddhas can do that. Bodhisattvas have a Dharma eyes, and they use the Dharma eyes to do their work. Okay? And similarly, the Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, use their wisdom eye in order to maintain their purity. And the lower level, they use those eyes to get donations, impress people. Because they do that, because they have no wisdom yet. 5.
Thank you, Master. We have a comment and 2 questions on YouTube. First comment from Derek. I was filling up gas and the previous person didn't take their receipt. So when I got my receipt, I also got theirs. Their receipt had a car wash code. I was tempted to use the wash code but didn't. I don't know if this was stealing, so I didn't use the wash. I threw the receipts out. It seemed like a waste of a car wash, though.
Okay. It's similar to saying that it's a $100 bill right there. Malcolm, pick it up. And Malcolm would say, no, you pick it up. You don't tell me what to do. You know, because Malcolm has principles. He says, hey, the principle is that if it's not given to you, meaning it belongs to someone else, you can't take it. If you take it, it's called stealing. Even if it's a car wash that was bought by someone else, it's left there, it still belongs to that person. Who are you to use it? That's greed. All these rules are designed to help you look at your mind. Why are you so greedy? A waste or not is none of your business. It's that person's waste, not yours. How can it be your waste if you didn't pay for it? Who are you to decide the waste? Maybe to the car, to the gas station, it's not a waste. They got some money and they didn't have to spend it on water, on soap, on wax, and so forth. It's not a waste to them. Who are we to decide it's a waste? It's none of our business. It's not ours. We don't touch it. Next.
Thank you, Master. Next YouTube question from Brady McBride. Master, isn't it possible somewhere or sometime in the past someone has probably given money to the temple that was from nefarious means?
True. And I'm very sorry I took it. Blame me. I'm very sorry. The point here is that if you knowingly take money that's not clean, for example, Mr. Buffet, when they say, okay, I want to give you $1 billion, not $1 billion, let's say $100. I say, no, I don't take this kind of money. $1 billion, I take it over. I think it again. I have to reconsider, okay? Because like Derek says, it would be such a waste. Okay? I can be bought. That's the whole point. But the point here is that we have our principles. We don't have to take money if we know that's not clean. But if the money we take is not clean and we unknowingly take it, then we become a laundromat. Okay? Yes, next.
Thank you, Master. The YouTube question from Null1596. What's the difference between a role model and a good knowing advisor?
A role model is someone that you admire, that you said, that's my standard. If he does it, that's what I want to do. And nothing less will be good enough for me. That's a role model. A good knowing advisor is different, a totally different animal. A good knowing advisor is not necessarily a role model. Okay, a good knowing advisor is way beyond a role model. Okay, and the concept of good knowing advisor is that in Buddhism, we don't practice on our own. We always practice under a good knowing advisor's direction. If we don't have it, then we keep on looking and looking and looking, and until we find one, stick with the patriarchs' teachings. So that's a difference. The good knowing advisor is way beyond a role model. A role model, you can see the role model. A good knowing advisor, you cannot see them at all. Okay? And that's why they can guide you. Because at your level, for you to see someone as a role model is still pretty low. Because you can understand that person. Okay? Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. No matter how we see it, money is dirty. There's no clean money in the Saha world, isn't it?
No. Like I beg to differ. There are people who, let's say, are teachers. To me, they're such good profession. That's why in the Eightfold Noble Paths, there's something called proper livelihood, where you earn money cleanly, properly, and consistent with the Dharma. Meaning that you earn money by contributing to society, not by stealing from society, not by cheating others. Okay? Those are considered to be proper livelihood, and those are good money. Okay? There's not a whole lot of money, but it's good money. Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube question from S.A. Master, when drivers run through stop signs, is this a form of greed? It seems some find it's fun to be bad. Laws try to protect citizens like Dharma protectors.
Stop signs have little to do with morality. Precepts are the kinds of concepts, the kinds of teachings that will help you identify the evil nature of your mind. And that's a gift. The Buddha says, you have a tendency to do this. You like to steal. And you justify, it's such a waste. Because by definition, if it's not given to you, you cannot take it. Doesn't matter. If no one gave it to you, it belongs to someone else. You're not supposed to take it. If you take it, it's stealing. Okay? And yet, Derek would come up with a reason and say, it would be such a waste. I might as well use it. In Buddhism, it's still called stealing. Okay? Because it's so easy for us to justify our actions. And only the Buddha says, this is, you like to steal because that's what you like to do. You like to lie because you feel better. When you lie and someone buys it, they say, wow, what a stupid person. I outsmarted this person again. Okay? So the precepts are the things that the Buddha taught us who actually point out our evil tendencies. Look closely. It's so insightful. We have a tendency to kill, to have our way. Yes or no? We enjoy the food, so I kill you because I enjoy eating you. Because I can. Because all I have to do is put a hook and hook you from the river and boil you. And I enjoy myself. Because that's what I want. What are you going to do about it? And that's right there. We have this tendency to force our ways onto others because we're stronger. Like that typically people say we are in a higher chain, the food, therefore it's okay to eat the lower chain people. Who made that rule? So it's okay for me to be in higher chain to kill kids because they're lower chained? Is it okay to kill mentally retarded people because they're lower chained? But see, we validate our tendencies, our evil tendencies. And the Buddha says, hey, stop it. Stop it because you're hurting yourself ultimately. When are you going to learn? Okay? So that's why the Buddha says you have these evil tendencies that and I'm guilty of all those. I'm going to have it my way. If not, I will kill you. If you don't obey, I will kill you. Killing, stealing. Oh, it's so much fun to steal from people because, my God, I outsmarted you again. I outsmarted you again. You're so stupid. Okay, and so forth. Anything else? Commentaries? Questions? No? Yes, one.
감사합니다, 마스터. 어제 제 문제를 좀 해결하고 싶어서 말씀드리는데요. 어제 이제 한국인에 대한 그런 말씀을 하시면서 질문에 대해서 말씀을 하셨는데 그거를 들을 때 그게 곧 저의 문제라고 생각을 했었거든요. 저는 이제 지금까지 이제 많은 시간을 이렇게 한국에서 절 생활을 하면서 이렇게 큰 스님들을 많이 모시면서 이제 시봉도 하고 봉사를 많이 했는데 그럴 때마다 이제 편안하기보다 굉장히 권위적인 그런 형광에서 굉장히 경직돼 있거나 이렇게 부담 가는 그런 마음을 가지고 이제 봉사도 하고 하면서 굉장히 긴장된 생활을 많이 한 것 같아요. 그래서 그런 습관이 저한테 아직 남아 있어서 그런지 작년에 여기 왔을 때도 그렇고 이번에 왔을 때도 그렇고 이제 예전에 제가 모시던 스승님들하고는 이제 당연히 마스터께서 이제 편안하고 그런 거를 주시긴 하는데 저 스스로가 이렇게 질문이나 이런 걸 하려고 하면 옛날에 그런 생각들이 들면서 꼭 이렇게 제 스스로 이렇게 문제를 이렇게 궁금하거나 모르는 문제를 하려고 하다가도 스스로 이렇게 차단을 하면서 질문을 못 하게 되거든요. 그래서 더 이렇게 멀리까지 와서 마스터께서 주시는 가르침에서 더 얻어갈 수 있는데 제가 그런 제 스스로 이렇게를 문을 닫는 그런 것 때문에 좀 부족한 것도 많고 어리석은 게 더 많지 않나. 그리고 제가 이렇게 수행을 하면서 진전을 하게 되면 그런 거에 좀 어제 말씀하신 것처럼 장애가 될 것 같아서 오늘 용기 내서 손 들고 이런 문제를 제가 어떻게 해결하면 좋을지 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
Master, I'm asking you to solve my problem. You mentioned about Korean problem yesterday. I think that is my problem. For a long time, I volunteered temple. I take care of many snim. At the time, I didn't feel comfortable, always rigid, and I have some I was very uncomfortable and always tensed. I have such a habit. So even if you said feel comfortable, but whenever I'm trying to ask you a question, I hesitated. And then even if I want to ask you a question, I stop myself. So I came here from Korea, and I want to get something, but I feel that I close my door by myself, and I feel I'm stupid, and I think that stops my progress. So how can I solve this problem?
I don't understand what the problem is.
To ask your question, I don't feel comfortable. So how can I solve this problem?
Not feeling comfortable asking a question?
질문 자체를 어렵다고 하는 게 이렇게 승가분들이나 이렇게 있으면 굉장히 좀 긴장감이 들고 이렇게 편안함이 자꾸 없어지거든요, 제 스스로. 그래서 예전에도 이제 서울에 있을 때도 가끔씩 현안 스님도 무엇이든지 이래 절에 와서 뭐 할 때 편안한 마음으로 이렇게 당당하게 하라고 하는데 왠지 이제 절에 가서 승가분들 있고 이렇게 계시면 긴장되고 제 스스로 이렇게 편하게를 이렇게 못하는 것 같아요. 그래서 제가 질문이라고 말씀드린 거는 예전에 그렇게 큰 스님들 모시고 이렇게 일하고 이런 거에서 긴장하고 그런 게 많았기 때문에 그런 생각이 들면 마스터 계시는 거 굉장히 어렵게 생각을 해가지고 질문하는 것조차도 이렇게 편하게 못하는 것 같습니다. 그게 제 문제인 것 같아요.
My problem is that when there is a snim, I don't feel comfortable. I always tensed. So in Seoul, Venerable Shannon also told me, be comfortable. But whenever there's a snim, I feel tensed. I don't feel comfortable. So I also feel uncomfortable to you. So that's why I don't ask your question.
So you don't feel comfortable? Yes, for?
I didn't listen all the way, but I think she meant she's very nervous. Due to her nervous, it makes herself very uncomfortable, and therefore, because of that, she can't even ask questions. Difficult to ask questions to, especially to you.
Okay.
And she's trying to open up her question today. What can you help me? Something like that.
You become naturally less nervous over time. That's a natural thing. Okay. Don't worry about it. You don't need to ask questions. When you feel comfortable, ask questions. You don't feel comfortable, don't ask questions. And you're not the only one who's not asking questions. Okay? Eventually you relax, and then you will, the question, the way you ask question is you listen and, oh, why? Okay? Oh, yeah. Tell me more. That's a natural thing when you're relaxed. Okay? And it's going to happen naturally. There's no need to worry about you must ask questions. You ask questions only if you're curious about something. not because you must ask questions. There's no pressure on anyone to ask questions. Okay? That's all. Don't worry about it. You ask questions when the time comes, you ask questions. When it's not time yet, no need to worry about it. Okay? Don't put so much pressure on yourself. And you being nervous about sunims, it's not necessary at all. It's imaginary. Your nervousness didn't come from us. Okay, I can guarantee you here in the US, I don't know what happens in Korea. I don't know how Xienan treats you and how Xian Gong treats you and so forth. But here in the US, I assure you that there's no reason to be nervous at all. If you're nervous here, it's not from us. Okay? It comes from within you. So you keep it up, you keep practicing, you keep improving, you naturally will overcome your nervousness. But it's not because we cause you to be nervous at all. It's you think too much. Okay, and in particular, please don't take this wrong, in particular, the monks and nuns have this bad habit of trying to scare you. Monks and nuns, we have this beliefs that the more you're scared of us, the more impressed you are, the more money you will donate to the temple. And nothing can be further from the truth. It's called terrorism to me. You don't need to terrorize the disciples. It bothers me. You know, like we need to instill respect from you, and you need to be scared of us. I've seen a lot of Master Shua disciples do that as well. It's disgusting to me. That's what I look at that and I'm not going to be like this. I don't need this kind of money. If the money you give me because I scare you, it's what I call dirty money. Okay? I'd rather be poor and have nothing. I can wait. The longer I wait, the red cars are cheaper. The used ones will get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. See, I'm very patient. Okay? Let me tell you, again, all of you monks and nuns out there, there's no need to scare people. There's no need to impress people. Because when you do that, the money you get is dirty money. Don't you? The reason we accept money from you, okay, is in order for you to increase your blessings. And therefore, the best way is for us to receive money from you is because you give it freely, on your own free will, on your good heart. Not because we scare you into respecting us and you are powerful monks and nuns. This is learned from my master. Master YongHua is the least impressive monk I've ever met. He's so unimpressive compared to all his disciples. All of them. That's what I learned. Okay? So it's wrong for us to try to impress you. It's wrong for us to try to scare you into submission. It's wrong for us to try to scare you, to impress you at all. That's wrong. Because when you give, again, let me stress again, our jobs is to be filled of blessings. What's the field of blessings? It's This is a few blessings. See, this square here is a reminder. I wear this because a square here, we are few blessings. Meaning that we are representing an opportunity for you to get ahead, to plan for your future. It's for you, not for us. The Buddha's Dharma is for you, for us to benefit you, not ourselves. There's no need for us to induce you to plan here, because if you don't plan here, go plan somewhere else. It's okay too. Buddha never said you have to plan here. You can go to the next door here. It's even half a block away. It's a bigger temple, much nicer temple, much richer temple. You go there and plan. It's okay too. It should be done with your free will, not because you feel we're stronger, we're better. Not at all. Or you should go over there because they're Taiwanese. Dharma. We are not even Vietnamese, not even Chinese. We don't know who we are. You know? And so to me, it's so wrong to try to impress people. Because the few blessings also means that it has to be good quality to benefit you more. It's not about benefiting us. So that's why our policy has always been that we prefer that you choose to give on your own free will. Whether it's here, whether the next temple, it's much better for you that way. Even if I, let me put it this way, if I use my samadhi power to impress you, to scare you, okay, that benefits, the blessing you do that by giving me $1 million, I feel it's not as good if you were to, from your good heart, okay, give that money to a homeless shelter. They need it more than I do. I will end up buying 10 red cars instead of one with that much money. You think I'm joking? I'm serious. You give me money, I show you. It's just no one takes me seriously. That's my problem. I joke too much. But the point here is that I really believe if you give your money freely to someone who needs it really, more than I do, okay? Instead of me trying to impress you and induce you to give me money, okay? That blessings to you is not as big as you give freely to some other people. That's why we don't do it. Yeah. We should be the last one you should consider giving money to. That's all. Okay. So that's why monks and nuns, if you feel that you must impress people so that they give money to your temple, quit the business. To me, you're doing a disservice to the Sangha. Don't be like that. Okay? Yeah. Yes, 5. There's no excuses for that. Yes.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube comment from Derek. Derek says, I've seen people write out questions on paper or their phones and read them out during lecture.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can have someone write the question, say the question for you, or pretend to be your neighbor there and say, hey, can I use your name to ask a question? Derek is so creative, so that as per Derek, you will not waste your question. It would be such a waste not to ask the question. Derek has a lot in common with Xian Tong. He's anti-waste. Yes, next.
Thank you, Master. This one's from me. I also get nervous when I ask questions in temple, and my stomach will get into knots, and it's hard to speak. And a trick I learned was to get the most important part of the question out of the way right up front, which is why I always do my best to start by saying, "Thank you, Master." Then my stomach loosens up and everything else is easy from there.
Yeah, it's typically it's scary especially in our temple. A lot of people have samadhi power, not just me, because don't have a whole lot, but around you surround with people who are pretty strong as well. So yes, there's pressure there, but you should, as you practice more and you improve more, you see that the question is not just for yourself. Actually, when you ask a question, it's for a lot more people than you realize. Why? Because I turn your question into something that's a lesson for many, many people of your level or your circumstances. Your question might be at your level, I address your level, but also I address it for the Koreans, for example, for the women, for example. So there's, there are lots of people who benefit from the questions. You should be, you look at it that way, then the questions are actually beneficial for a lot more people than just yourself. Okay? It's a natural thing. I'm a natural person. Let it happen naturally. So relax, don't worry about it. Ask questions when you feel like it. Eventually you understand questions. The reason we encourage you to ask questions is because it's every time you ask a question, it's for a lot more people than just yourself. And my answer would prove that. Okay? It's not just for you, because each one of you, there's not too many of you, so when I look at a person and you, then I turn it into a question of people with similar interests like you. Because it will be put on the internet. So the answer should be for a broader audience, okay? And that's how you increase blessings. Because by asking a question for yourself, actually you are helping a lot more people than just yourself. I keep on telling people, I wish that Master Hsuan disciples would ask more questions from Master Hsuan because now we can't ask him anymore. No one asks him questions. It's weird. He's the wisest man, and yet no one asks him. And he never encouraged them because of the Chinese tradition. You don't ask questions. All right? And that's where I feel that we don't have to be like that. We should encourage people to ask questions, any sort of questions if they like, and we all learn from it. That's all. It's a learning thing. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about, if you're curious, ask. And knowing that you will benefit a lot of people more than just yourself. Go forth.
Good evening, Master. Since we get to this topic, I want to share with you that I just started to follow you a few months ago. So I have a lot of questions during the Dharma talk. However, sometimes I'm afraid I might have a too basic question that everybody else already know, and it might slow down the assembly. So I sometimes that kind of stopped me from asking the questions to you. So what should I do?
You poor baby. What you could do is when you drive to work, listen to more. Are you doing that? Don't wait until you come to the temple to learn more about the Dharma. If possible, as you drive around, okay, or when you have some free time, because knowing you think too much. Therefore, you should use that time better by listening to the Dharma, and that's how you learn more naturally. Okay? That's number one. It takes time to listen. Yeah, just listen to more and more Dharmas. Okay? That's number one. Number two, you don't necessarily have to ask questions all the time. Okay? Because given that you're still new, you want to, here's how I would approach it. When I was listening and reading Master YongHua's teachings, I had so many questions myself. And so when I came to his temple and I was given a chance to ask questions, albeit it's only for 10 minutes, okay, he says they would listen to an hour and 25 minutes of Dharma talk or sutra lectures from Master YongHua, and when it's 5 minutes left, say, okay, time for question. Anyone has a question? And they'll translate that into English. The person spoke in Chinese, English. So now I have 5 minutes. I have 2.5 minutes left. And I ask a question. I have 1 minute and 75 left. And you see, you don't have a lot of time left. And then even with that, I tried to ask questions, they couldn't answer my questions either. So after a while, okay, I stopped asking questions because I was afraid that I would embarrass them. They would not be able to answer, and they would show me the door for embarrassing them. So I stopped asking questions altogether, okay, because it's not a good use of the time, their time and my time. So what I did is it was to shelve those questions. And I listen more and more, and I keep on, Master YongHua's Dharma is kind of wonderful because he keeps on going over the same thing over and over and over again. Okay? 6 paramitas, what are the 6 paramitas? And then next somewhere else, and you say, oh, what are the 6 paramitas? So we eventually listen to it. You understand what the 6 paramitas are. So my point being that naturally, all you have to do is listen to the Dharma repeatedly. Eventually, you will have those questions answered naturally. All right? You don't need to have the questions answered immediately, like you've been doing. Yes, every time you ask a question, it really bothered you. That's why you ask a question. Yes?
Yes, the questions that I normally ask you are the big one in my head.
Yeah, it bothered you. And that's what happened too. That is the question that really bugs you. You say, why do you say that? I don't get it. That's sort of the good question you should ask. Okay, but the question about this, about that, eventually you figure it out. it's not a problem. You can ask questions. That's my point. My point is that patiently wait, okay, and until it really bothers you, then ask questions. It's perfectly okay. And when you do that, then you find out my answer will not only answer you, will also answer a lot of people. Okay? So I encourage question because I am able to handle new people like you, questions from you, and my answer will apply to a lot more people than you think. Okay? And it's not just you, but if I find that the people who were there with you, like right, for example, tonight, is only little baby behind you, okay, and not a whole lot. Most people are drunk or at a party somewhere, okay. Then you should feel free to ask questions because really no one else is listening. Right? But with a lot of people, then it's flexible. So the point is, if it really bothers you, ask questions. If you can hold off, then hold off. And then the next time it bothers you again, then ask questions. Okay? And then keep on listening. That's all. And if you can't, if it really bothers you, you ask. You ask, for example, someone else, what did he mean by that? Okay? There are lots of people around you who can help you too. Okay? And they say, wait a minute, how come I never thought of it? I've been here 5 years now. How come I never thought of that? Let me ask him next time around. And and we have such a system. You can interrupt me anytime, ask about anything that bothers you. It could be like, how come you so poor? How come, is there a Dharma I can win a super lotto? Anything you want to ask. It doesn't bother me. Okay? Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. During Sakamuni Buddha's time, did member of Dharma assembly, especially common people, could ask questions back then?
During the Buddha's time, I'm not sure that they could. Nowadays, we have a microphone. In Buddha's time, he was speaking the sutras. There's thousands, hundreds of thousands of living beings listening to him. And what happened is that the Buddha really didn't ask questions, but what happened is that his disciples, like Manjusri, like Shariputra, would say, "We're honored one. Let me ask you a question," because they use the wisdom and they scan the audience. They say, "Oh, these people here, they need to understand this better." So the questions submitted to the Buddhas, who were actually engineered by the Buddhas. So that's why it's not the same thing. Okay, so all those questions are enhancements to the lectures, part of the lecture. So they didn't really actually ask questions. For us, it's different. For us, it's that I don't have the Buddha's wisdom. I need to learn about her, I need about her, I need about her, each and every one of you. I'm learning. Every time you ask a question, I'm learning more about you, about where you came from, what's important to you. This is why your questions I welcome all your questions. If I don't want to answer, I say, no, I don't want to answer you. Okay? Because it's not useful for me to answer you. And it helps you. It helps everyone. And it helps my disciples say, okay, such a question we don't have to answer because Master didn't answer them. Okay? So So no, back then it's staged questions, if you will. Okay, especially in the Avatamsaka Sutra, all the questions actually the Mahasattva kneel down and then contemplate the audience, and based on the Buddha's power, there's this phrase right there, relying on the Buddha's power, contemplate the audience, and then ask a question. So it's all staged by the Buddha. Okay. For us, it's different because we learn from each other. You learn from me, I'm learning from you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Let's see what else we have here besides this. Virtuous monk is my favorite. Am I the most? I shall learn from that one. Okay, good. Okay, you the eminent monk, virtuous eminent monk. Yeah, definitely go learn from them. Can't listen to their stories. That was it. You should pay special attention. The point he's making here, we're learning about these role models, and you should try to imitate them. Okay, you set them as your standard. I'm gonna be like that. That's the purpose of a role model. Are we there yet? Or are we still not? Not yet? How many more slides do I need to go? 115? 15 slides. So we will not be able to finish tonight. So let's stop here tonight. It's 9 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Okay? Trust me. Finally, if you ask questions, I assure you it's benefiting a lot of people. Okay? And like Jumi, for example, used to ask a lot of questions. And now she doesn't ask anymore because she learned which questions are good, which questions are not good. Okay? So it's a learning process. I would relax. Okay? All right. Thank you, everyone.